designed to do.
Right,
You know,
right.
He said so.
Right.
He says, no, there's nobody that can create that in this.
Yeah, the celestial world, they travel back and forth. Both angels of the higher and
That's right. It's a battle going on. Even in the unknown, is what I call the unknown world, but we can't see.
right.
It's a battle.
Spiritual.
We gotta always pray, man. Satan tries to sift us as wheat, the Bible says, you know. Anyway, that's all I can say. So I'm gonna do some reading here. Brothers, you know, I'm gonna do some glasses. I'm pushing 50, brother. No, I got 2020, so I thought. But
Shalom, Israel. This is
Shalom,
Brother
shalom.
Yahweh,
This is Shir Yeshua.
Brother Theophilus.
and we are the three Hebrew boys, and we're back.
Yep.
Today, we're going to talk about it'll be Columbus Day tomorrow. So I'm sure it's a lot of Negroes out there that's going to celebrate something that they know nothing about. What I've discovered is when you research Christopher Columbus, I noticed that they don't ever say what's on his ship. They call him an explorer. They talk about goods back and forth. And they might say they transported some goods with some slaves, but they don't say what happened as he was transported. And that's what we're going to bring out. The video won't be long. It'll be short. I just want to debunk that Christopher Columbus garbage. And there were two others that also did the same thing, which was John Hawkins, that took his ship to England. I think his ship was called the Good Ship Jesus or something like that. And there was another one, John Newton, who wrote the song Amazing Grace that you black folks love to sing so much. He was another one that had slave ships. So we're going to start off in Deuteronomy in the Bible. We're going to take a scripture first and show you that it was written before these guys started doing this to us in Deuteronomy 28:68. And we get Deuteronomy Exodus 20:1 to explain. Then we're going to go get into this Christopher Columbus garbage.
Exodus 21.
28:68 first.
We want to do Deuteronomy 26. Okay, Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Now, this is the Most High God talking to the Hebrew Israelites. And while they was in the wilderness, this is one of them that was going to happen to us. Now, I'm going to go to Exodus 20:1 and explain what Egypt is, so you won't be thinking that it's talking about land. Exodus 20:1.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
See, so Egypt means bondage. So if you go back and read 68, it's saying I'm gonna send you back into slavery, but this time you're going with ships. Now, slavery only happened to one race on this planet, and that was the Hebrews. I can't say Negroes because we were part of it. It actually happened to the Hebrews, the 12 tribes. But we're going to focus on the Negroes since this is America. Now, Christopher Columbus supposedly, they say, was an explorer. So we're going to read what they, when you dig him up, you're going to read what type of explorer he was.
Christopher Columbus, before 31 October 1451 to May the 20th, 1506, was an Italian explorer. was an Italian explorer, navigator, and colonist who completed 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean under the auspices of the Catholic monarchs and Castile of Aragon, sorry.
You see, so supposedly, as you celebrate tomorrow, Christopher Columbus, as you will see on the news all day, he discovered America. I find that kind of strange, but all of these people here was already here. That's the Native American Indian. We're going to go into the Apocrypha and show you when these people came here, already settled in these lands, showing you that Christopher Columbus could not have discovered America. Then they say he landed on what? Plymouth Rock. Here's your Plymouth Rock. That's your Plymouth Rock. That's all it is. That's Plymouth Rock. And they stamped it, 1620, I think, something like that. Yeah. Plymouth, Massachusetts. So they made, I mean, it's a lie, it's a lot of lies attached to this Christopher Columbus. And to show you who discovered America was actually Amerigo Vespucci. That's who actually came to America before Christopher Columbus. That's who they named you Negroes after. That's why you call yourself African Americans. You're named after Scipio Africanus and Amerigo Vespucci. You have to be a snake to come up with this kind of mess and give it to a whole race. But we were dumb enough to accept it. So in other words, when you say African American, you're saying that you still slave to these two Edomites. One was a ruler of Africa, a Roman general, and the other one was from Spain. So this is what when you say you're African American, that's what you're calling yourself a slave. Now, I think my brother wanted to go into the Apocrypha and pull out some stuff on.
Thought you was going to go to Ezra. Was it Ezra? I thought you was going to bring that out. When the 10 tribes came over.
Okay.
Bring that out as well.
Will it is the same thing? Second Ezra? Will you bring up the same thing?
We go to Wisdom of Solomon.
Okay. Okay then. Okay, we'll go to
Ezra's,
Second Ezra 39. 1339. This is going to really show the tribe that came here long before they were Christopher Columbus, just showing that there were people here. And then we're going to go into that John Hawkins. You want this?
Yeah.
You do?
Okay. I just woke up and got over it yesterday. So Second Ezra 13, 39 through 45.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Second Ezra 13, chapter 13, verse 39 through 45. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
See, that's over the water. What that is, Atlantic over there?
Atlantic.
Over the waters is what they were talking about.
What we call
Leaving Syria.
Yeah.
So so these are Hebrew slaves. These are northern 10 tribes. We're Judah, so we're part of the southern tribe.
Mm-hmm.
But this was around 720, 721 BC when this took place, showing you that people were already here. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would lead the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land.
which is the laws that was given to us,
Law, statutes, and commandments.
the law, statutes, commandments that was given to us in the wilderness when we came out of Egypt. But when we made that contract with the Most High, He sprinkled blood on us afterwards. So we're bound by this law, this contract that the Most High God has given us. This is why we go through so much hell, because we broke the contract and we're still breaking it. And you're going to break it tomorrow, celebrating Columbus Day.
Okay, verse 42. That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, and the same region is called Azareth.
So it took them a year and a half to go from Syria all the way across the Atlantic down to the South Pacific. And not stop thinking just America. They came to the South Pacific as well, down in Cuba, Jamaica, Brazil, all up in that area.
Can I add something to that? What Azareth is according to the Jewish Encyclopedia. Azareth, Arzareth is how it's spelled. The name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to sorry about that. Columbus identified America with this land. Okay.
It's actually in the movie as well.
It's actually in the movie. I think it
That's
came out in
in the movie.
1991, Christopher Columbus, whatever year it came out. Yeah, I just want to kind of add that, Azareth is indeed here. It's more to read on
I
that.
think for that to be understood a little bit more, all of mankind lived what we would call the East. You see, you had, we know that the birth of humanity is in Africa. That we do know, right? And so from that place, everything over there from what we call Europe, you got Asia, you got Africa, you got all of that part over there. That is where mankind dwelt at. So when the scripture said that they went where never no man lived, how does it say that?
No man dwelt.
Where no man dwelt, exactly. In verse 41, it said, but they took counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathens and go forth into a farther country where never no man dwelt. That had to be somewhere other than where everybody was at. They was familiar with Africa. They were familiar with Peninsula. They was familiar with Asia. They was familiar with all of that stuff there. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So the only place that was left was where? Here.
Exactly.
And it's like Brother Yahweh I was saying, we so close-minded, we thinking about when you say America, the only thing that we think is 50 states. Well, you got to understand that Canada is called North America as well.
That's right. That's right.
Up under Mexico, you got what is called South America. You see,
Right.
so all of that land right there drifted away during the time of the flood, which would be a whole nother lesson, within itself. All of that land drifted away to from the time of the flood and came over here. And Ahia dried up the land, well, not dried up the lands, but gave the 10 tribes safe travels across that Atlantic over here. This is where they were at. And Christopher Columbus, according to what the brother just read, Christopher Columbus found us by that little red book right there.
Yeah.
Red book
By that little red book right there.
This book was taken out the Bible.
Out of the same chapters that we just read.
Exactly.
Out of the same chapters that we just read.
So he knew exactly where to go.
And so now to add to what he just said, the old map consisted of those 3 continents because no one knew of the Americas as we call today, the North and South America. This was not discovered at that particular time. So this is why Columbus is put on a pedestal of the great discovery. Little known is that our people were already over here, at least of the Northern Kingdom. So if it's any type of discovery, it was a discovery to Esau. but it was already known to us
Exactly.
because we've been over here,
Exactly.
you know. So yeah. Okay, verse continue.
No, I think you finished.
I still have 43 to 45. Well, yeah,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
read 45.
Yeah.
Well, read 46. Read 46.
I think I need some glasses. I'm serious. Okay, verse 46. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come.
Now, and the reason why I want him to read 46 is because it says, then they dwelt there until the latter time. That lets you know that wherever they went, that's where they're going to be. Wherever they went, that's where they're going to be. It says until the latter time. So, when this, let me say this real quick, Brother Yahweh, because it's important. The thing with Edom, the brother was bringing out Esau. These two brothers right here is from that bloodline of Amalek, Esau. The thing with them is that they had no inheritance. Okay, the Most High, the inheritance that the Most High gave them was Mount Seir. In the book of Malachi, he let you know that they are cave dwellers. So, which means that anything that they have, they would have to steal it. They would have to take it because nothing belonged to them. And this sure what we read it now started with Christopher Columbus. This is why they honor him as much as they do, is because he got the green light from what was the Pope at that time. And I don't know if you have it in your writings over there, but he got the green light from the Pope at that time to go on the excursion so that Edom can start taking up the lands. And one of the things that Edom do is, in order to hide their dark history, is that they change the names of places and they put different names on them, and you know, they put their people names on it. You see what I'm saying? That way, when you try to go back in antiquity and try to find out about this stuff, you can't, because you read one name in the Bible, but they don't take that name and they don't gave it a whole nother name. You see what I'm saying? So you got three nations. You only got Shem, you got Ham, and you got Japheth, and all three of them got an inheritance. All three of them got an inheritance, a part of this earth. But Edom did not receive an inheritance. But now Edom owned all the earth. Started with Christopher Columbus and taking up these lands over here.
Let me add what you're saying on that. I think, you know, I was talking with a couple of guys that's into the Kemet, into Egyptology, the gods of Egypt. And I said, well, why would you want to go and serve the God of our oppressors? You know, won't you just go to a missionary Baptist church and get with Cedric Bourget? It's right here, you know. If you've never been to Egypt, you can go right to the missionary Baptist church and serve Cedric Bourget.
Right.
You know, save a step.
Right.
But basically what I'm saying, save a step. So you want to
Right.
worship other gods.
Right.
But the problem is, I was discussing with a friend of mine. This guy, classmate, he brings out John 8:33, I think it was. There were people said we were of Abraham's seed. We were never in bondage. So he says that scripture validates that we were never Jews. I said, hold on. I had to go and correct him and say, man, a lot of people consider themselves Jews at that time.
Right.
And I said there were more than just us as Abraham's seed, you know. So these white folks who are Esau, they're of Abraham's seed. Ishmael, the Arabs, they're of Abraham's seed. You know, but Jacob is of the promised seed. You know, so there's a difference between those. So I'm saying this to say, because we lack understanding of history, a lot of us tend to veer off into other gods and other ideas. There's nothing new under the sun. For some reason or the other, our ancestors started best to serve other gods, and we ended up in punishment by way of captivity each time. And here we are today, and I personally believe we're definitely in the last days without question, you know, that a lot of our people still dealing with other gods because they lack this understanding that we're bringing out. It is so important to understand that the Bible is indeed a history book, and it's giving you verbatim what's happened to determine who you are and where you're going in the future.
And it's a history of the Hebrew.
It's a history.
It's not a history book for the world. It was written by the Hebrews, for the Hebrews,
Absolutely.
and for us in time.
It's inspired by Ahia himself.
Right. So that's showing you right there that Ahia still haven't done away with his people. He got a book here from the beginning of us all the way to the end of our existing. So he couldn't have done away with his people. Now he punished us with a hell of a belt called slavery. And I'm gonna show you in here some of the things that was done to us on them ships. That's what they don't tell. What was on those ships and what happened to them people.
And can I add to that too, dealing with Esau? There's a passage in Genesis 27. People say, well, why is Esau like this? Why white folk like this? Why white folk like this? It was already prophesied that they would be this way. You know, and say this, then we move on. Genesis 27, 38 through 40. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Esau's really mad, really mad. He's rage, you know, not only him, but his seed, even to this day. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. Verse 40, and by thy sword shall thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass that thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So, brother, has that already taken place? Well, a part of that actually did take place. Remember the 1,000 years we was talking about that. They were suppressed. You know,
The yoke broke off their neck with Amalek.
with Amalek.
Once Amalek's son was the Greek ruler.
Oh,
That's how they love so much.
Alexander
the Great.
Alexander the Great.
That's when them cut them chains off their neck, because we was over them.
We were over them. Exactly. We were over them. And they're the ones that annihilated the southern kingdom after Assyria did what they did to the northern kingdom. Okay.
Then you have another character. His name is John Hawkins. Now he did pretty much the same thing as Christopher Columbus. They were mainly after slaves. I'm not going to say there wasn't goods on the ships, because they did have goods, clothing and stuff like that, salt and other things that they were trading, but their main commodity was slaves. It took 1,250 years to find us in Timbuktu in Africa. And here comes Hawkins, here comes Christopher Columbus, here comes the other character, John Newton and his father. I'm gonna show you here what John Hawkins. Now they admit what he did.
Admiral Sir John Hawkins, also spelled as Hawkins, was an English slave trader.
A what?
An English slave trader.
See?
Naval commander and administrator, merchant, navigator, shipbuilder, and privateer. His elder brother and trading partner was William.
Just was not right. Okay. So now you see how we got to England. Sir John Hawkins was also the same as Christopher Columbus. And here's another character, this John Newton, that y'all love to sing his song so much. Oh, you got, yeah, this was highlighted.
John Newton, the beloved hymn and its author, John Newton, a former slave trader, have inspired a new Broadway musical, but true history is complex and ambiguous.
Remember now, he's a slave trader.
Okay. Newton was born in 1725 in London to a Puritan mother who died 2 weeks before his 7th birthday, and a stern sea captain father who took him to sea at age 11. After many voyages and a reckless use of drinking, Newton was impressed into a British Navy. Okay. While later serving on the Pegasus, a slave ship, Newton did not get along with the crew who left him in West Africa with Amos Clow, a slave trader. Clow gave Newton to his wife, Princess Pay, an African royal who treated him violently as she did her other slaves. On stage, Newton's African adventures and enslavement are a bit more flashy, with the ship going down, a thrilling underwater rescue of by his loyal retainer Thomas, and an implied love affair between Newton and the princess. Okay. The stage version of John's father leading a rescue party to save his son from the calculating princess. But in actuality, the enterprise was undertaken by a sea captain asked by Senior Newton to look for the missing John in a show. Elder Newton. The Elder Newton is wounded during the battle of his son's freedom, and later has a tearful deathbed scene with John on the board ship. That's a part of the film. During the voyage home, the ship was caught in a horrendous storm off the coast of Ireland and almost sank. Newton prayed to God, and the cargo miraculously shifted to fill the hole in the ship's hull, and the vessel drifted to safety. Wow. Newton took this as a sign from the Almighty and marked it as his conversion to Christianity. He did not radically change his ways at once. His total reformation was more gradual. I cannot consider myself to have been a believer in the full sense of the word until a considerable time afterwards. He later wrote, he did not begin reading the Bible at this point and began to view his captives with more sympathetic view.
So while the ship was in this turmoil, and tossed to and fro, he prayed to the Most High that if he saved him, he would be a better person. Mm-hmm. And this would inspire him to write that song. But then later, supposedly, a lot of your historians would say, or Christian historians would say, he was a changed man, and after that he became real religious. We're gonna see that.
There are no atheists in the foxhole, by the way. Newton continued to sell his fellow human beings.
He continued to do what?
He continued to sell his fellow human beings.
I thought he changed after that. Go ahead.
Newton continued to sell his fellow human beings, making 3 voyages as a captain of 2 different slave vessels.
So in 3 voyages, not in between them 3, not one time did he decide to go straight. After he got tossed to and fro and made that prayer to the Most High. 3 voyages. You don't make 3 voyages Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
This also shows the seed of Christianity as well, Brother Yahweh, because Scripture tells us that the Most High will send us strong delusions. And that's what it is that he did with them too. He said he prayed to God, right? But we got to understand 2 things. What God did he pray to?
There you go.
And the second thing we got to understand is that Ahijah said that he was going to scatter us. So this goes in line with, remember when he talked about Pharaoh, he said he created Pharaoh for this purpose, that he may be able to show his powers. You see what I'm saying? So there is nothing that no storm was going to be able to do that was going to stop those slave ships. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So now, who was the head of the Christian church? The Pope. Yep. So he really thought that he was a Christian. Because the Pope telling them and teaching them, according to their teachings, that everybody outside of Christianity is infidels. Yeah. So he thought that he was doing it right. You see what I'm saying? By the mistreatment of what they was doing to us at that particular time. And that was a strong delusion that the Most High sent to them. When you go back to the book of Isaiah, and I'm going to say this real quick and I'm going to get off of it and let you keep reading. You go back to the book of Isaiah, the Most High said, I'm going to hiss at your enemies. He said, I'm not going to call them. They was already wanting us, but they couldn't touch us because we stayed in righteousness. And there's one thing that they know about us, that if they ever get out of the covenant that you was talking about earlier, if they ever step away from that covenant and start worshiping idol gods, then their power, which is a higher, he will turn his back on them, and we can have them. Well, that's what we did. And Ahijah said, I'm going to hiss at the Ahijah. He will turn his back on them, and we can have them. Well, that's what we did. And Ahijah said, I'm going to hiss at the other nations. He said, and they're not going to stumble. They're going to take off and come run. And they're going to come get you. So this is what we're reading right now. You see what I'm saying? When he hissed at them nations, hey, they took off. they took off. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing. So when you say he changed, what no changing in him? He's Amalek, and it's two precepts that I'm gonna read to show you the heart of Amalek towards the children of Israel. When Micah finished right there, as to why they treat us the way that they do, and will continue to treat us the way that they do.
The Duke of Argyle and the African, I'm sorry, Newton continued to sell his fellow human beings, making 3 voyages as a captain of 2 different slave ships. The Duke of Argyle and the African, those were the 2 slave ships. He suffered a stroke in 1754 and retired.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Check this out. I'm glad you brought that out. So let me prove to you that we're talking about Edom out of a word that the brother just read. He said the Duke of what?
Duke of Argyle
Duke of Argyle.
and the African.
Let's get Genesis 36 and 15. I love this Bible. The Arabians, they people are called princes. When Ishmael descendants was described in the Bible, it says prince this and prince this and prince that. Right?
Yeah.
So let's see who the dukes are.
Genesis 36, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
These were dukes.
The what?
Dukes.
The dukes.
Wow.
These are the what?
Dukes.
Dukes of who?
Of the sons of Esau.
Uh-huh.
The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenaz.
So now you can't say that what we're talking about, we're making this stuff up. These are real people. This is a real bloodline. And they know who they are and they know who we are.
Yeah.
That's why they still, to this day, continue to call themselves what? Dukes. Okay? Because they know who they are. Now, that cat by the name of Amalek, which is the grandson of Esau, this is the dude that hates us to death. Okay? He hates us to death. Now, let's see what the scriptures say about Amalek. Let's get Exodus chapter 20. What is that, 27?
Exodus 27.
Let's get 14 through 16.
Okay. Exodus chapter 27, verse 14 through 16. The hangings of one side.
Is that 27? No, I'm sorry, man. 17. I'm sorry.
Would you like to borrow some glasses?
I know, right?
Exodus 27. What's your name?
No, chapter 17, 14 through 16. Exodus chapter 17.
Okay, 14 through 16. Okay, Exodus chapter 17, 14 through 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
Okay.
And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. Sorry. For he said, because the Lord has sworn that the Lord would have war with Amalek from generation to generation.
He said that Ahiah will have war with Amalek for how long?
From generation to generation.
There's still generations on the earth, right?
Yep.
So Ahiah is still having war with who? Amalek. Okay, let's get one more. Let's go to the book of Revelation. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. Let's go to verse 17. Because Brother Yahweh was letting you know that they was looking for slaves, right? So we finna show you looking for slaves. All of this is in the Bible. There is no excuse as to why we don't know who we are today. Okay. Revelation chapter 12 and 17.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach.
Went to make war with the remnant of her seed. The seed of the woman is the 12 tribes of Israel.
That's right.
That's who the seed of the woman is. So we see that Amalek is going to war with the Most High from generation to generation in the Torah, in Exodus. In the last book of the Bible, it says that he was wroth with the woman. And he went to make war with the remnant of her seed. We have had a mark on us from the very beginning. And every time he causes us to get away from the laws of the Most High, it's like the brothers have been saying, Ahiah don't do away with us, but he put our butt in captivity. And every captivity, is worse and worse. But this captivity is all the way different from any captivity that we have ever been in.
Any captivity. That's so true.
This captivity is different from any captivity that we have been in.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. From generation to generation.
Generation to
So we
generation.
still dealing with Amalek to this day.
Don't continue to deal with Amalek until he block that butt up out from under the sun.
That's why they picky who they pick for president.
Come.
They are picky.
They are Amalek. That's Amalek. Your presidents are Amalek, including Barack Obama. He's Amalek as well.
Yeah.
Those dukes and princes and
Mhm.
queens
All
over there in England,
yeah,
those are Amalek. Your Pope is also Amalek. And every world leader that America and England set up across this earth, guess what? They are Amalek.
That's right. This is of Amalek.
For you black folks to say it to yourself, what was the other president you said was Amalek?
Barack
Barack Obama. You're
Yeah.
wondering why he said Barack Obama. It's because, for one, Barack Obama is not a Shemite. He's a Hamite.
Come.
He's not part of the 12 tribes of Israel. And he became part of Amalek because of his mother's side.
Mhm.
That's how he's part of
Mhm.
Amalek.
Mhm.
He's also a relative to
George W. Bush.
Bush.
Bushes, yeah.
There's
yeah.
another one too.
They all related though.
Yeah.
Every last one of
You
them
can
jokers
connect the
related.
dots.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can connect the
every
dots.
last one of them jokers.
That's right.
Even Jimmy Carter with his throw it off looking butt, because he don't look like none of them, but he related to him as well, man. The Peanut Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
they all related. They keep that stuff in the
Yep.
in the family, man.
Yeah.
They'll
Keep it
they'll
in the
never
family.
put nobody up that's going to really do something for the Negroes in America as a president, black or white.
Mhm.
You'll
This is not our
never see that.
season. This is their season.
No, we living in captivity here, and this is their land. They stole it. So I mean, they make up the rules. They own the banks and everything else. So like you tell me all the time, reminding me that I am in a land of captivity. Now you can't see it because we got so much freedom,
Mhm.
but educationally, you are still a slave. Especially you got all these degrees, these high up Negroes with, and I'm not knocking that, but when you say you got a bachelor's degree or master's degree from Texas, Houston, and I ask you one question: what's your nationality? If you open your mouth and say you are African American,
I'm
done.
ready to see.
you're nothing.
Right.
You said that you got a degree, but you still saying you're a slave.
Mhm.
See, the Most High knows who to pick and who to wake up,
Yeah.
because He said He would wake us up in 2 days, which is 2,000 years. That's why you see so many camps
Mhm.
with us waking up and we're gaining this knowledge. He said He would give this knowledge back to us.
Mhm.
Read this. This is John Hawkins again. Read this voyage,
Okay.
first voyage of John Hawkins that went to England.
First voyage from 1562 to 1563. Hawkins formed a syndicate of wealthy merchants to invest in trade. In 1562, he set sail with 3 ships from the Caribbean via Sierra Leone. They hijacked a Portuguese slave ship and traded the 301 slaves in the Caribbean islands. Wow,
How many slaves?
301.
To the Caribbean islands. That's the South Pacific that we were telling you about when we were reading in the Apocrypha.
Mhm.
And here it is, after all those hundreds and hundreds of years, here's Hawkins bringing 300 down to the South Pacific.
So now understand that when you look at the South Pacific now, a lot of them people there don't look like you and I. And the reason why is because part of history that a lot of people don't know, and I think I shared this with Mike, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
The coast of Mexico actually got more African slaves than the
Yes.
land of America.
That's right. That's right.
And a lot of people don't realize that. When you go into Mexico, you go into Colombia, you go into South America, you go into Puerto Rico, you go into all of these different places, you'll see a lot of what we would call pale skinned individuals there with the straight hair and blah, 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 right? Well, these same people that kidnapped us and brought us to these lands are the same people that paid Esau, the white European, I'm gonna stop saying Esau because I don't want to confuse nobody. I want you to know exactly who I'm talking about. The same people paid white Europeans to go back to Puerto Rico, to go back to South America, to go back to all of these lands and white it out because it was too black. You cannot bring that many African slaves to a land and the land don't be black. So they paid Europeans, they paid Spaniards, and they paid Portuguese and Italians to go back to those lands and to white it out. That's why. And it happens to me all the time. The kind of work that I do, you know, construction, electrical, and stuff like that. So I'm dealing with a lot of people. I'm looking at an individual that I think is a white guy until he opened his mouth.
It sounds totally different.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I'm looking at a guy, I'm thinking that he a brother like you and I, which he is, but when he opened his mouth, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I said all that to say this. Those are still your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
The only difference between them and us is a boat stop.
That's right. That's right. That's the only difference.
Is a boat stop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And Esau is gonna always, if this brother here was my slave, I know he's pretty big, that would never happen, right? But if this brother here was my slave, I'm gonna go where he go. And I'm saying this for the Hebrews who say that the Mexicans are Issachar and you know the Cubans are Manasseh, and which is true. But you got to be careful when you say who is who, because Esau was still there. All the Mexicans in Mexico are not Issachar.
Not Issachar, yeah.
You're saying that about the white.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
yeah.
all the Cubans and all the Puerto Ricans are not Manasseh and Ephraim. You got to be careful when you saying who is who over there, because they sent their European white folks to those nations, white it out.
And when he say white it out, he's talking about rape, because that's basically what happened.
Oh, that's exactly.
They raped a bunch of young teenagers.
Yeah. And then
They killed off the elders.
Yep.
And the men, and they would rape a bunch of teenagers.
Yep. That's exactly.
That's how.
Esau.
Be blessed that you wake up and understand you're part of 12 tribes of Israel. But don't argue with people with another nation if they're Issachar or Ephraim or Manasseh because they're lighter skinned. I don't with them because when the Most High comes, He's the one that's going to separate, not you.
That's right, and that's why studying is so good too, because the book of Hosea, the book of Hosea breaks down the northern tribe all the way to the way that they think, to their very mind state, and the reason why they do what they do. And I'm gonna say this real quick, and I'm gonna let the brother get back to read. Northern tribe left Assyria, where we gonna go somewhere else where we can start over and kept the law. But once you do something for so long, it gets habitual. They didn't keep the laws in a native land, neither did they keep the laws when they came over here. This is where common sense come in and show you that these people really are the 12 tribes of Israel. They are no longer lost. They was practicing Canaanite rituals and religions in their own land. What do the so-called Native Americans practice today? What do the Haitians practice today? What do the Dominicans practice today? Every last one of those places, they got sorcery, black magic, and white magic, because they brought that over here to these lands from where they was doing it. Exactly. Every last one. It just continued on from generation to generation to generation. It is the same people.
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun.
Stubborn and stiff-necked.
We all are. Us too. Judah too.
We're way at the bottom. We're way at the bottom. Okay, where did we go? Okay. They hijacked a Portuguese slave ship and they traded the 301 slaves in the Caribbean island. Despite having two ships seized, by the Spanish authorities, he sold the slaves in Santo Domingo and gained a profit for his London investors. His voyage caused the Spanish to ban all English ships from trading their West Indies colonies. The second voyage, from 1564 to 1565. In 1564, Queen Elizabeth I invested in Hawkins by leasing the old 700-ton ship Jesus of Lubeck.
Mm-hmm. What's his name
You might
again?
want to repeat that.
Jesus of Lubeck.
That's the name of the ship.
Wow. On which he set forth on more extensive voyage along with 3 small ships. Hawkins sailed with his second cousin, Francis Drake, to the West African coast, privateering along the way. By the time he left, he carried African slaves. 400 survived when he reached. Sorry?
That's it.
Okay, that was it.
Now that's it on those 3 characters. Now, oh, you got it over there. Now we're gonna get into what happened on them ships, and this gonna end it. Unless Brother Yashub got some more. We're gonna see what happened on those ships, because it wasn't no pleasant trip. Things happened. Start with the Zong Massacre. I think that's the name of a ship. There were many ships. There were many ships that was going back and forth. Let's understand that. This John Hawkins, Christopher Columbus, and John Newton were not the only 3. There were many ships going back and forth, from South Africa to America, to the South America, and up to England. That whole Atlantic, right? That whole Atlantic side has ships going back and forth. Now,
Transatlantic slave trade.
exactly. And you think them ship captains didn't talk to each other and didn't know each other? So Christopher Columbus wasn't the only one who knew how to get over here. I'm sure he told other ship captains how to go into certain areas. But there were many ships, and over time, we're going to read what them ships did. It wasn't just one, but these are the things that they did on those ships.
The highlighted part.
Mhm.
The highlighted part. The Zong Massacre was the mass killing of more than 130 African slaves by the crew of the British slave ship Zong on and in the days following November 1781, November 29, 1781, the Gregson Slave Trading Syndicate, based in Liverpool, owned the ship and sailed her in the Atlantic slave trade. As was common business practice, they had taken out insurance on the lives of the slaves as cargo. When the ship ran low on drinking water following navigational mistakes, the crew threw slaves overboard into the sea to drown. In part to
You might want to
ensure
repeat that one because somebody didn't hear that.
when the ship ran low on drinking water following navigational mistakes, the crew threw slaves overboard into the sea to drown, in part to ensure the survival of the rest of the ship's passengers, and in part to cash in on the insurance of the slaves, thus not losing money on the slaves who have died from lack of water. We were a commodity then, we are a commodity now. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 right quick. Because somebody would ask the question, because it's been asked me many times, why would God do that? Why would we understand, right? So go ahead, Willie.
I'm gonna try to bring up something that's modern to what he just read, because he said we're a commodity. If you remember a few years back, and the city of Detroit had problems with motor companies, GMC and Ford, and the city was going bankrupt. Remember, I think it was 3 of them: Ford, GMC, was it Pontiac? Chevrolet.
Right.
All was moving out of Detroit to go somewhere else. Well, come to find out, after all them Negroes moved out of Detroit, guess who's in the city taking up most of the neighborhood, building their temples, got all kind of business. It don't even look the same anymore. It was a plan done. Israel is in those cities.
Gentrification.
Yep.
Gentrification.
That whole idea was to move them Negroes out of Detroit to begin with.
When the majority of us Negroes that was there in Detroit came from the South because there was better opportunity during that time. And so a lot of people left the South and went north. And it's like Brother Howard I said, this is why we have to understand that we will always be at the bottom of the totem pole. And that's why I was going to have the brother to read Deuteronomy 28:15, so that we are in. The first 14 was the Deuteronomy of blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Please take time to read that, because you black man and you black woman, this is the position that we were supposed to be in. When you read those first 14 verses, we were supposed to be the head and never the tail, right? But how you knew who we were, and you knew what our heart was like. And so he said in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15, it says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So you got two people that say that they Hebrews in this world. But let's line them up according to what the word, and let's see who fit the description. You got the big nose curlicue Jews that walk around and all of they black, that really worship Baphomet. Then you got us. Well, the Bible says that whoever the real Jews are, that they was going to be in captivity. We done read that time and time again in scripture. Matter of fact, Joel chapter 3 tells you the same thing, right? Luke chapter 4, I believe it is. 21, I believe it is, tells you the same thing.
Yeah.
So you go from the Old Testament to the prophets to the New Testament of the Gospels, and it tells you that whoever the real Jews are, they are going to be in captivity until this thing is consummated. Well, let's look at the big nose curlicue Jews. Do they look like they're in captivity?
They own everything.
They own what?
Everything.
They
own the
own
bank.
everything.
They own your Federal Reserve.
Rockefeller is
The Bilderbergs.
yeah, Rockefeller is Israel.
That's right. Guess what Christopher Columbus was? He was a Jew as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus was
Jewish.
a Jew as well.
Jewish.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Not of
yeah.
diplomacy.
Right.
Yeah. Jewish.
Exactly.
To be like.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm gonna put this out here. We are the only people who have absolutely no identity to a nation.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 17:4, what does that say? Jeremiah 17:4.
We discontinue from our heritage.
We will be discontinued from our what?
Our heritage.
Our heritage.
Yeah.
See, the Asian know who he is. What are you? Oh, I'm Asian. Oh, okay, cool.
And we'll take them customs and try to be part of their custom as Asian. Like the film guy, the black guy, he loved Asia. What's a black karate guy?
Yeah, played in
I mean the vampire movie.
yeah, he also played in he also played in Wesley Snipes. Yeah.
You know?
He loved Asia, loved Asian women, and if you talk to him, he make you think he's Asian.
Right, you know. But my thing is that everybody can relate to a nation, even white people that call themselves American. When you talk to them, they can tell you who their roots are.
That's right.
I got German roots, or I got Irish roots, or you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can always go back. But you ask us, what are we? We say that we say we're black, or we African American, or we're Negro. So my question is, where on the continent can you find black? That's not a nation. African American is 2 continents, and 1 continent comprises of 54 different countries. So which country out of Africa? And Negro again take you back to number 1, which is a color. That is a Spanish word for black, Negro. And we are the only ones that they call Negro, which is the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, because they don't call Hamites Negroes. They don't call Hamites Negroes. So that go to show you that we are different from the Hamites.
That's right. They're different from the
which
Hamite.
are the African, because you don't know who you are because
Mhm.
you have been discontinued from your heritage.
That's right. That's right.
This is why the 3 Hebrew boys are here, to let you know who you are. You can go to sleep tonight knowing that you are a Hebrew
That's right.
from the tribe of Judah.
Right.
That's who you are. How do we know? Because the Bible tells us so.
There's a difference right there.
That's the difference.
Right there. There's a difference. Yeah, I'm gonna put that up there. I don't know if you can see that. That's the difference between Shem and Ham. That's the difference between Shem and Ham.
And there's a lot of Africans over there that look like the one to your left,
Mhm.
with the bald head.
Yeah, it looks like
A lot of
bald head.
Africans that look like that. So you would think that they're actually
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got the dude, the brother that sing, that's Seal. Seal is the Hamite. Look at him. Look at him.
Shem and Hamite.
Right. Look at him and then look at us. You see what I'm saying?
There's a difference.
He's a Hamite. I think what's his name? I can't think his name. He's another city man. I used to like him back in the day. He do a whole lot of stuff.
Oh, Akon.
Akon,
Yeah.
Hamite. You
Yeah.
dig what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Akon.
These people look different from us.
That's
And
right.
then you don't have to take our words. I know a lot of Negroes don't like to take the words of Negroes. White scientists will tell you that you black people over here in America are not the same as the black people that's in Africa. They will tell you
They
that.
would tell you that.
They will tell you
That's
that.
right. That's right. Now there are some Israelites that are there.
Oh yes, yes,
Africans.
yes, yes,
It's
yes,
estimated to be well over 40 million. I think.
yes, yes.
Because not all of us got on slave ships.
Con.
You know, it was the Africans that sold us into slavery. Am I correct on that?
No,
The Africans?
Arabs, Ishmael boys.
The Ishmaels that sold us into slavery.
Yeah, I'm sure Ham had
Ham
nothing
had a whole lot
to
to
do
do
with
with
it.
it.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But Ishmael.
Well, I know Ishmael
Yeah.
had a lot to do with the sub-Saharan slave
Right,
trade as well.
right.
So
And
the trade-
that slave trade still going on.
That's that. Even to this day,
Even
it's
to
still
this
going
day,
on.
that
Even to
slave
this
trade
day.
is still going
Exactly.
on.
Exactly. Wow, man, this is amazing.
That slave
It's
trade
amazing.
is still
Slave
going
trade
on.
is still going on. So the Igbo tribe would be the tribe which, if I'm not mistaken, you can translate that to be what's called the Hebrew tribe.
Yeah, that's the Igbo is Hebrew.
Igbo is Hebrew.
Ivri.
Yeah.
Ivri. Yeah,
That's right,
that
Ivri.
Igbo. Yeah.
Which there still exists to this day.
Yeah,
You know, a lot of them
we
is not
Igbo.
true.
That's what we
Yeah,
are.
we
We
Igbo.
Igbo. Yeah,
That's right,
we
that's right.
Igbo. TD Jakes told you who we are.
He's exactly. He done turned around and denied it later on.
Before you say we're contradicting ourselves, because we trying to distinguish the difference in real Africans and us. So before it sounds like we're contradicting, understand that we ran into Africa. We were never there to begin with.
Right.
Our homeland was Israel,
That's right.
and Rome ran us out of Israel in 70 AD.
Mhm.
That's right.
So that's where you have to understand how we became part of Central, West, and South
Mhm.
Africa.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
desolate. Northern Africa had those Africans.
Right.
In the northern part, what's the country? Ethiopia,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Egypt.
Yeah, put Libya.
Mhm.
Libya.
Libya.
all that, Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's where these real Africans were.
Mhm.
The other part was desolate until the Christ told us to flee into the mountains.
Matter of fact, I want to read that.
Yeah.
That passage real fast.
When we fled into the mountains, over the Atlas Mountains, by the millions, a lot of us left before 70 AD.
And Ham and the sons of Ham knew that we were not them because of the customs that we had. And
Exactly.
they hated us.
Right.
We came with our customs. We kept the Sabbath.
Yeah.
We kept feast days differently. We didn't eat the way that they eat. Ate. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so they knew that we were different. We blended in color-wise,
Yeah.
but that was the only way
Yeah.
that we blended in.
They were more like animals, and we weren't, because they was cursed. And when we, like you said, when we came to Africa and started multiplying over the years, once 70 AD came, once we, ones that escaped Masada, when they went into Africa, we had Hebrews there already to welcome us, because they left before Christ, and when Christ said, flee into the mountains. But when 70 AD came, that remnant really got torn to pieces because they were stuck in Masada for 7 years, and they got massacred. So you got to think about that gap, that timeline where we came to Africa. That's why he's saying that you have a difference in the darker African and us. You can look at the jawbone and the way our heads are shaped, and you will see the difference in the two. We're not really Africans, but we came over here from Africa, but they never say where we were before Africa because they'll make you blend in with the original African.
Truth be told,
we are African.
we are African. Because Israel
is Africa.
is Africa.
It's
You know,
northeast
Northeast Africa.
And
When
they
Esau came and started running
There
things,
you
they
go.
gave you what's called the Middle East.
Right. And
They're the ones that gave you that.
they
So
cut
all of
that
that is
Suez
still,
River in there, which was not there. The
Which was
Suez
not there.
Canal, which was not there.
they put that there.
separated it.
That's right. They
Exactly.
separate everything. So
Right.
you're absolutely right. But let me go to a scripture here we just mentioned. Luke 21:20. This is Yeshaya already told you what was going to take place. It says, "And ye shall see Jerusalem, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, know now that the desolation therefore is not. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains,
Come on now.
and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the country."
And he called it the desolation, which meant that that's when the land was going to become desolate of her
Exactly.
seed.
Exactly.
The woman, which is another lesson as well, the woman is our homeland.
That's right.
That's Jerusalem.
That's
That's who the woman is.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
and the woman right now is yearning for us to come back
That's right.
to our homeland.
Homeland.
That's what the book of Lamentations is about. That's
Exactly.
after Jeremiah.
Exactly.
That's what that book is about. You got two Esdras as well that talks about the motherland yearning for us to come back. You got Wisdom of Solomon that also tells you that. So when it says that the dragon was wrought with the woman, because the woman being Jerusalem was the city of the Most High, where the law of the Most High was, that was supposed to keep everything in order. He had to decimate that, man. So Yeshaya said that this is the time of desolation. Look, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, I gotta kick you out. I don't need you here. And you're not gonna come back until I gather you from the other nations. Till I regather you and bring you back to this land.
Wow.
So we are here. This is where we at.
Yep.
I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how famous you are. I don't care what type of job you got, what kind of degrees you have.
That's right.
If you are of the Negro stock, you are a slave.
You are a slave. That's right. No matter how popular you are,
And
no
then-
matter how well loved, you are a slave.
And if you're a Christian,
Part of Africa, most of y'all don't know anything about because it's not taught that way.
That's right.
And that's why I spoke like I did, that we're not Africa as you see it today. But to go and to bring that part up and say that's part of Africa, some of y'all probably be confused because you never heard of that.
You know, if you go into history, I can add to that. When the Southern Kingdom was being invaded by the Greeks, it is said that many of our people fled to the mountains then to blend in with the Hamites, the Africans, because we looked like them, even though we were not of them. And it happened again when King Herod, who was an Edomite and understood our customs, he was over Israel by way of the Romans. It happened again when he got jealous that our Savior came in the flesh. And so Joseph had a dream, said, hey, get up, get Mary and Yeshaya, get them up and take them to where?
to Egypt.
That's which is a part of what?
Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Egypt is without a doubt a part of Africa. And during that particular time, the Egyptians were
Yeah.
very dark people.
Yeah,
Not
tall.
what you see over there now.
That's all. Too.
And tall, and very tall people as well.
Them Egyptians that's over there now are not real Egyptians.
They're not the real Egyptians.
They are descendants of Ottoman Turk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example of who's most likely a descendant of a real Egyptian. There was a basketball player by the name of Manute Bol. He's most likely one of an Egyptian descent because they were very tall people. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of them are in the Sudan area, something like that. Yeah,
that's
in
what
the
they is.
Sudanese area, you know, we're very tall. The women, 6'10", 6'8", you know, very tall people. You know, so yeah, the Egyptians were very tall people. So yeah. Man,
We're gonna get into these last two. Back to the ships. What was on these ships? Christopher Columbus.
It says, in the water there was often sharks which followed the ships in warm waters, feeding off refuse. When dead slaves were thrown overboard, the Dutch merchant William Bosman wrote in a new and accurate description of the coast of Ghana. I have sometimes not without horror seen the dismal repercussions of these animals. 4 or 5 of them together shoot to the bottom under the ship to tear the dead corpse to pieces. If each bite, an arm, a leg, or a head is snapped off. And before you can tell, 20 have sometimes divided the body amongst them so nicely that not the least particle is left.
So as their ships were sailing, it was a bunch of sharks that went underneath the ship and just followed it because they knew bodies would come off the ship. These were a dead body, Negro slave that they were throwing off the ship, leaving the coast of Africa. And Columbus also did the same thing. And John Hawkins, as he was going to England. It wasn't just one ship. A lot of them ships did that as they were going in the East Coast. And these sharks would follow this ship because they knew they were going to get fed, waiting on bodies to be thrown overboard. They made a movie about it. But this is the mess that was going on. They don't tell this part when they bring up Christopher Columbus. They make him into just a scientist or a hero.
It says the transatlantic slave trade is known as the largest forced migration in the history of the world. Estimates range from 20 to 50 million Africans was forced.
How many?
20 to 50 million Africans.
You see, so there couldn't have been one ship. 50 million. That's a lot of Negroes. Make me wonder, when hurricane season comes, it always comes from that slave coast. Going right into the ship's wind. Think about the spirits that's in that water. Every hurricane season.
Ranges from 20 to 50 million Africans was forcibly brought to the United States, the Caribbean, Central and South America, and to Europe. So that lets you know as well that a lot of the black people that you see over there in Europe as well, they are also of the 12 tribes of Israel. More than likely, they would be Judah or Benjamin. And the reason why we keep saying Judah, Benjamin, and Levi is because they comprise of the 3 southern tribes.
That's right.
We read in 2 Esdras 13 what happened to the 10 tribes, which would be the northern kingdom. They left already. So, you know, they were what you would call, you got that book, 12 Tribes? I wish I had brought it because that's a good book for the people to read, man. What is it called? The
Lost Sheep in the 12. I was just sharing that book with somebody.
Yeah, it's the Lost. The 12 Lost Tribes. It's something like that, man.
Yeah, hold on,
the brother is pulling it up. But if you could ever get a hold of this book here, after he pulled it up, this is an excellent book for you to read. But it also said in Europe.
The Lost Tribes in the Promised Land.
There you go. You got a cover. Can you show the cover?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, Lost Tribes in the Promised Land.
Lost Tribes in the Promised Land.
I think I read that.
Yeah. That's
a very excellent book.
Excellent book. Right.
I wanted to add what you're saying because there are 12 tribes. You'll see in the Apocrypha it talks about the 10 northern tribes. And the southern kingdom was made of 3 tribes: Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. That's 13. However, the Levite tribe, some of the Levites were of north, some of the Levites were of south. So that's the 12 right there. Because the Levite tribe was called the prince tribe.
That's right.
And their job, matter of fact, the Levite couldn't even marry a woman who's ever been married or penetrated.
Right.
Their wives had to be virgins only.
Right.
And actually, the charge of beards was actually given to the Levites.
And the baldness. That was to the Levites.
That was actually given to the Levites. However, because the Levites, that was the one tribe that was specifically done, had no job. They had no craft as far as tilling the field and doing leather and blacksmiths and
Providing.
So with that being said, not to cut the brother off,
No, go ahead,
Christians, you
I
Christians
know what
is
he's gonna
being
say.
that's being bamboozled out of your money by these pastors with their
I
tithes.
put that 10%.
When you go to the book of Malachi, he is not talking to you.
He's
Yeah.
not talking
He's
to
talking
you.
to the tribe
Yeah.
of Levi.
Levi.
Because our job as their brothers was to give them our 10% for the
That's
services
right.
that the
That's
Most High
right.
has set them
Yeah.
apart to do. And matter of fact,
Yep.
let's please read the beginning of Malachi.
Come on with it. Come on with it.
Please read the beginning of Malachi so you will see
Yeah.
that what I'm saying, I am not making this
Listen,
up.
we knew he was going.
He beat me to it. I was going to say it too. That
It
10%.
never crossed my mind. Yeah, I'm
Is it
at
the beginning?
I'm right here, whatever you want me to read.
Hold on, let me find it.
Yeah, that is so true.
Okay, burden. Yeah, chapter 2. Start chapter 2. Read to verse 5.
From 1 to 5. Malachi chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. And now, O ye priests,
And now, O ye who?
O ye priests.
O ye priests.
Mhm.
This is who this book is. They were misappropriating the tithes that we was giving them.
Mhm.
Their job was to eat what they gonna eat and get full.
Mhm.
All the leftovers you were supposed to give to the widows and to the childless, and to those that did not have without. But instead, they was giving bad judgments.
Yeah.
They were sleeping. I'm got to talk about our people too, right?
Yeah,
They were sleeping with women for more money.
Mhm.
They was doing everything but what they was not supposed to do. Okay, so this is to the priests. Keep going.
Okay. This commandment is for you. If ye will not hear, and if ye will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you.
Come on now.
And I will curse your blessings.
Mhm.
Yea, I have cursed them already,
Mhm.
because ye do not lay it to heart.
Mhm.
Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces.
Now the Haitians are the Levites. Guess what part of their diet is? Mud pie. Keep reading.
Bruh. Okay. Even the dung of your solemn feast, and one shall take you away with it.
Mhm.
Wow. And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi,
Uh-huh.
said the Lord of hosts.
Mhm.
My covenant was with him of life and peace,
Kind.
and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name.
So he said that my heart towards Levi was to be love and peace. But because you broke my commandment, I'm going to curse you, and I'm going to curse your offerings. And you're going to have dung spread across your face, man. So your pastor get up there and say, will a man rob God? Well, how have we robbed thee? In tithes and in offering. He was talking to the tribe of Levi. They
Right.
was robbing the
They
Most
was robbing
High
the Most High.
of his tithes and his offerings,
Right.
and keeping it to themselves and making themselves fat off the land.
That's right. That's right.
Boy, y'all got a lesson today. Yeah. The way they tied in Christian churches came from the Catholic Church,
Yeah,
321 BC, the Council of Nicaea,
80.
AD. Yeah, 321 AD,
Yeah.
at the Council of Nicaea. So when the Catholic Church was coming about and building,
Mhm.
they had to find a way to get the money from the people. And they came up with all this bogus with pagan stuff. They were accepting paganism, bees counting, or you had to pay if your relative died already or something like that. You paid that they wouldn't
Even pay to get your sins forgiven.
sin forgiven,
Yeah.
all of that. You know, it's a money thing.
Total deception.
So once we came out of slavery, and the background of Christianity that was forced to us during slavery came from Esau, and we actually practiced what the Catholic Church is doing. That's called in the Revelation, with those churches are called whores. They're whores of the Catholic Church because they do the same thing
Mhm.
the Catholic Church is
daughters of the whore. The
Daughters.
Catholic Church is the
Is
whore,
the
Yeah.
whore, the
and all
daughters.
and everything that
So
follows behind her.
the daughters will be your Episcopalian,
Right,
your
your
missionary
Baptist,
Baptist, your
yeah.
Church of God in Christ.
All of that. Even Islam, because
Even
the
Islam.
Catholic Church is responsible for Islam
There
as
you
well.
go. There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Absolutely.
Catholic Church is responsible for Islam as well.
Well, we're gonna end it. Enjoy this one. I'm sure they got earful today.
Yeah.
We're three Hebrew boys, and we'll probably see you again come Thanksgiving. And we're gonna blow that one out of the water too.
Yeah.
My name is Brother Yahweh.
You should.
Brother Theophilus.
Shalom, Israel.
Watch them on. Yes, indeed.
Brothers, I'm on a diet. And I have to be honest and tell you. Oh, they hear me? I'm sorry. Yeah, one person see it.